The news day continues here on One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. The Trade Department says there is no need to adjust the suggested retail prices of basic goods. Contrary to that, the Philippine Amalgamated Supermarkets Association has noted an uptick in prices. Let's clear things up with Assistant Trade Secretary Anne Claire Cabuchan, who joins us now live. Claire, the Supermarkets Association noted a 4 to 6% increase in the prices of basic commodities. This runs contrary to the DTI statement that price hikes are not yet called for. What gives?
Good afternoon, and I'd just like to say that for us in DTI, we had just released the suggested retail price list as of January 27. It is our position that as far as the 216 self-keeping units in that list, that prices should not move because those were produced with inventory, raw materials, and other inputs that were really obtained using prices before all these movements in fuel and other costs. So as for the Pag-asa statement that there has been an increase in those products, as far as we know, these are products that are not in the suggested retail price list of DTI. And so for example, if you look at our SRP list, there are only two kinds of bread, tinapay, that is in that list. It's the Pinoy Pandesal and the Pinoy Tasty. And the other breads that you would see in supermarkets and groceries are not in our SRP list. So what is important to us is that for those products that are in the SRP list, for which manufacturers had committed to have those products sold at groceries and supermarkets at that level, that those prices should not move at this time.
Right. Claire, would you know which items are already seeing an uptick in prices and by how much? If the Supermarket Association says there has been an increase of 4 to 6% in some basic goods, like you said, they might not be those two kinds of bread in particular, but maybe other kinds of breads. Have you noticed the same thing? Have you observed these?
Well, we have noticed, yes, some. And I think Pag-asa had said these are usually the imported items. It could be that they are canned meat, for instance, and even some condiments. So and coffee, if they're the coffee that is not in our list, or milk. So there may be price increases, but those are for products that we have not included in the SRPs.
All right. For certain products, there could be, like, for example, milk or canned goods, certain brands or certain items would have kept prices stable, while some actually would see a rise of 4 to 6%. Now, Claire, have manufacturers, or when will manufacturers start to price in the impact from the Russia-Ukraine crisis, from the oil price hikes? What is your estimate?
I think that if the situation is prolonged, I mean, if the conflict goes on for a longer period of time, we anticipate that probably in 3 months there will already be movements to prices, but any application for an increase in any price of any basic necessity or a prime commodity will have to go through the rigorous evaluation of the Department of Trade and Industry, because we would like to be able to look at the cost structure, because we note that for most of these products, the fuel cost in the cost of the production of a product is probably from 4 to 6%. So there are other inputs to the product that may not have moved that drastically.
Right. Claire, let's move on to non-essentials, where the PH, or Philippine Amalgamated Supermarkets Association, also noted an 8 to 15% uptick in prices for these non-essential goods. Is this already a point of concern currently for the DTI, or are these hikes still within, an approved level?
Um, for products that are not within the list of basic necessities and prime commodities, while we do not have an SRP price for them, it is still the position of DTI that retailers should not take advantage of the situation at this time, because these products they had already imported or purchased at levels that did not consider the current circumstances. So during the pandemic, we have been in close coordination, for instance, with our manufacturers as to their inventory levels for products. So we know that they would have inventory levels of an average of 3 months, which means that these are products that they had obtained 3 months before. So it should not consider current movements and suddenly jack up prices, because we also have provisions under the law, like the Consumer Act on Unconscionable Sales Act, and also under the Price Act on illegal price manipulations or profiteering.
One last question, Asek. If, of course, we are hoping not, but if this conflict between Russia and the Ukraine drags on for quite some time, what are the available, methods or available moves that you can do? What are your options as the Department of Trade and Industry in order to, try to manage the level of price increases in basic goods?
Okay. I think it was just last Monday where the economic cluster had presented to the president on the interventions. If this situation escalates and is prolonged, as far as the Department of Trade and Industry is concerned, we have been advocating that the entire country be placed under alert level 1, primarily because if it's alert level 1, then economic activities would be more vigorous. And when there is more economic activity, there are more opportunities for employment. So when people are employed, we know that they can afford to purchase the most basic things at least. There are also other programs, aside from, of course, our more intensive monitoring of prices of BNPCs, and enforcement activities where there is a need for those activities. We have also made sure that over the coming weeks that our Descuento caravans and our Presyong Reasonable Dapat is rolled out on a regular basis that would bring basic necessities and even frozen meat to localities, to local government units, and consumers will be able to purchase them at lower prices.
All right, thank you so much for sharing your time with us. Department of Trade and Industry Assistant Secretary Anne Claire Cabuchan. Thank you, ma'am, for your time. We'll be back with more stories after this quick break. Stay with us here on One News. You are still watching One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. Ukraine has accused Russia of genocide after it launched an airstrike on a maternity hospital. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky denounced the incident, calling it an atrocity and evidence of genocide against Ukrainians. The air bomb that was dropped into the city of Mariupol reportedly injured at least 17 individuals. Over 1.5 million people have since fled the Ukraine after Russia's attack on the country. Let's take a quick look at today's other top stories. Around 30 transport groups are planning to stop nationwide operations next week to protest the lack of government response amid the rise in fuel prices. They are calling on the government to remove excise taxes and value-added taxes on fuel and to suspend the oil deregulation law. One supermarket group reports that the prices of some basic goods have gone up by 4 to 6%. The Philippine Amalgamated Supermarkets Association said that some manufacturers have decided to hike prices starting this month. And Meralco announced a power hike also this month after 2 straight months of rollbacks. Households that consume 200 kilowatt hours per month should expect a 13 peso increase in their bills this March. For more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Masks on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I am Sean Yao. We are One News.